Yeah, good to go. Thank you, Andrew.
You betcha. All right. Thank you all for joining. This is the last of our 4 sessions, our 4 tech talks around PC to IICS. All of the previous sessions and this one will be on the microsite after the conclusion of this session. And we will send you emails for details on how to get to those other previous sessions or this one. My name is Andrew Hawthorne, and I come to you with 25 years of software marketing experience. I started my career in databases at a company called Informatica, which some of you may remember. And I spent significant time at Oracle and BEA and PeopleSoft and VMware and Dell Boomi. Mostly my experience is in the middleware and applications integration spaces. And I'm here to talk today about application modernization, which is a huge market opportunity. It's probably $15 billion in 2021. And Informatica has phenomenal products that address real pain. I'll spend the next 30 minutes going over some 30 slides. I'll use real use cases to demonstrate 4 things. 1, the benefits of app modernization are obvious, but the pain of getting there is real. I speak to customers every day and they relate stories of application sprawl, app silos, overdependence on people with specialized skills, lots of manual work, lots of manual rework. I'll get to all of that in a second. Second is that the Informatica approach is very different. It's more than just APIs. It's digital integration hubs and MDM and integration in a whole new way. It requires a platform, and AI and automation are critical ingredients. And then 3, you need this approach to have digital success. So you need this in order to be able to achieve the business value that you want to achieve in your cloud modernization projects, such as competitive advantage or quick time to value. And then last is Informatica has been doing this quite a long time. We are clearly the market leader. We have lots of customers, and there's reasons for all of that. Feel free to ask your questions in the chat. We won't be answering those questions live, but we'll happily answer them after the session. So why are people investing in app modernization? Well, first and foremost, it's about agility, and that agility creates competitive advantage. By connecting and assembling applications with just unprecedented speed. You have to go faster. Business requires change. Scale is increasing. You have to do it faster, more aggressively, with faster turnaround than ever before. And I'll get to a couple of examples of this in specific in just a minute. Second is that you've got to be able to provide that insight and situational awareness by surfacing those critical events in real time. Obviously, we are a data data-led organization. We must provide data in order to ensure that organizations are working in the kind of insights that they need, and surfacing those events in real time is absolutely critical to ensuring those business outcomes. And then last is we reduce cost and improve efficiency by streamlining those processes and reducing the manual work and errors associated with integration. So let me get to a couple of examples and highlight exactly what people are using Informatica for in the application modernization space. So I like to use this example to kick it off. I could have used 100 or so examples, but we have a customer who is a retailer, has a lot of dedicated stores throughout the United States, also sells through department stores. And when COVID hit, they saw a dramatic decrease in physical in-store purchases. Jewelry is one of those items that really is often spur of the moment. It has to be done in person. And there really wasn't a tremendous demand for online sales at that time. They had to quickly switch their capabilities from being primarily servicing physical stores to an online environment in a matter of weeks. They had to provide additional options. Excuse me. They had to provide additional options for individuals to do that immediate gratification that's necessary in the online environment. And so what they did was they provided what a lot of retailers are providing, which is BOPIS. It is buy online and pick up in store. And this additional functionality required the integration of a lot of different services all at once. And it required migrating a lot of systems and business processes that were previously on premises to the cloud, so that they could have the capability of doing things like, in this example, reaching out and saying what store hours are available, what stores had that particular inventory. This required the synchronization of a lot of different systems all simultaneously to provide just this simple functionality of buy online and pick up in store. And they had to do this switch in incredibly short period of time. This was vital to their operating environment. If they didn't make that switch in a very quick amount of time, they would lose a lot of the business that was happening at the time. Second big example, and this is a completely different size of organization, is around a Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company. And they, like many of our enterprise customers, have thousands of apps, many of which are on premises, many of which are in the cloud, and hundreds of thousands of employees that are working with those applications on a daily basis. What they had was, and we see this very commonly, they had a myriad of homegrown, hand-coded integrations between those applications and data stores, which required a very significant amount of domain-specific knowledge. And when, of course, an individual has a significant amount of domain knowledge and they leave the organization, that often breaks the integration between those two systems. What we did with IICS was we provided a easy to use solution, not just for the developers, but for business users and other domain experts, so that we could provide the kind of capability that was necessary to reduce the project timelines and significantly increase time to value for these organizations. And in fact, they were able to connect Salesforce to their internal marketing systems and roll out a marketing campaign within 2 months after doing a very basic integration between RDS and Salesforce. So very quick time to market for this very large organization. And then the last one that I want to illustrate is the Metropolitan Thames Valley Association. And these, this puts a human face associated with our efforts. And for people who are living throughout London, the Southeast, East Midlands, East of England, there is often, especially through COVID, an increase in the number of people who need support services and transitional housing. Um, and uh, Getting these services to these individuals often required a large number of different applications. They had applications that monitored individuals for things like mental health, and others for providing housing services. And there was no real single point of contact or single interface that combined all of those disparate data sources and disparate applications. So they turned to Informatica to help them in creating that unified approach to providing those services. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, we're able to really ease the housing crisis and ease the kind of transitional services that needed to be provided to their communities. So really a very effective way of using integration moving forward. So what are these organizations all doing? And really what they're doing is uh, there are three core use cases of application modernization. The first thing that they're doing is they're adding APIs to access legacy systems. In many cases, this means no app updates or customizations required. These applications work as they did previously. And they're just simply adding APIs to access those systems. The second is that they're often purchasing new SaaS-based applications or moving applications to the cloud, and integrating these new applications with existing processes and data stores and other applications. Um, and we see this very commonly, right? I mean, this is the primary use case of app modernization, is to adopt a new cloud application or to adopt a new SaaS-based application and integrate it in with a bunch of other applications and business processes that exist already. And then the last thing that we see is a trend toward new applications that are built using microservices. And obviously these are API first. These are built for integration. They're built for the cloud. And we're seeing a rapid exponential growth in those types of applications that are being built fresh and proliferating throughout the organization. In fact, according to IDC, by the year 2023, we're going to see 500 million of those digital apps and services. So just an incredible growth, requiring elastic scale, requiring the kind of scale that can only be delivered through the cloud. And in fact, it's not just the number of apps or the spread of these applications. It's that these operating models have to become hyper speed, hyper scaled, and hyper connected. That you really have to be able to very quickly connect these loosely coupled applications throughout the organization, and be able to deliver value in a very rapid time. The problem that many organizations are finding, though, is that there's a dearth of technical resources, and that leads to failed application modernization projects. That, in fact, 74% of organizations have failed to complete legacy modernization projects. It's a huge statistic. And there are some real reasons why that we'll get into in just a second for these failures. But ultimately, it comes down to an overdependence on on highly technical resources. And obviously the Informatica approach is to break that dependency and enable the entire organization to participate in the integration and API process. And to do that, you have to be able to deliver simplified tools. You know, today, end users are really seeking easy, reliable, simple to use tools that help them do their job regardless of what their technical sophistication may be. So some of the top trends that we see in application modernization, no surprises here. 83% of enterprises will move workloads to the cloud by the year 2020, obviously already passed. By 74% of enterprises have already adopted integration platform as a service for application integration. The vast majority of organizations, 85%, see API-based integration as fundamental. They're moving to API-based integration in droves. And then last is these applications that are being developed today are all being developed, or the vast majority of them are being developed using microservices. And, you know, regardless, modern apps or cloud apps, regardless of the technologies or business goals, you can't leave this information in silos. You can't leave these cloud applications in silos. You have to be able to tie them together. Modernization will fail if mission critical ERP applications, for instance, can't communicate with a modern cloud application for sales automation or human resources or marketing. And then obviously for both new and existing applications, you're exposing functions and data through APIs. Many organizations, in fact, probably too many, are simply cloudifying those existing applications by slapping an API on those legacy apps. As we'll go into later, APIs are necessary, but they're really not the whole answer that organizations need in order to effectively tie together these applications and effectively do an application modernization journey. So what is your current application? What's the pain that that we hear frequently from organizations? And the first thing is obviously around business agility, that too much time, too much money, too much effort is spent on a small number of applications, right? It's typically, you know, keeping the lights on for your ERP application. It's transitioning to a new CRM application. And there really isn't unless it's forced by external situations, there's no real need to keep pace with the business needs. So like in the first example that I mentioned around BOPIS, you know, that application wouldn't have happened if it weren't for COVID. And many organizations are struggling to really keep pace with those business needs. Obviously, too much time and money and effort is really spent keeping the lights on. You know, a lot of these legacy applications require significant amounts of resources and budgets just to keep them running. And that doesn't leave a whole lot of time or effort or money for innovation. Business decisions are impeded by broken and manual processes. Business groups don't have the tools that they need to depend, that they need not to depend on IT. And you can't hire developers fast enough, right? I mean, I hear this every time from our customers. right? They need to find a way of being able to extend the functionality of these applications without being overly dependent on development resources. And even if you hire outside, like if you hire consultants to come help you put in those tools and processes that you need to scale your organization, you often then become dependent on the consultants themselves for their domain expertise. Scale is obviously important. APIs are critical, but they don't scale to meet all the needs. Custom code is clearly not scalable. It creates this mess of chicken wire code with multiple ways to integrate a single record, system of record, and just creates a mad, I see frequently, just mad spaghetti messes of integration plans that have evolved over the years. And then a lack of business interoperability standards and best practices really stymie the scale of really moving forward with a lot of these organizations. And then trust, the pain that we see around stale data. Stale data really makes it very difficult for customers to interact and have that trust in the organization as a whole. When you say to them, you know, hey, it may take, when you don't give them the real-time experience of interactivity, that can immediately diminish the kind of experience that you're looking to achieve. And then compliance and security issues, and every release becomes this availability and reliability nightmare. You're constantly plugging holes. It's constant whack-a-mole environment. So what are the criteria for enterprise success? First and foremost, you need to engage beyond developers. You need a no-code, no-build user experience that allows you to really reach throughout the entire organization and lever the experience and skills and domain expertise that they bring to really help ensure that the entire organization is successful in transitioning those business processes or in developing new business processes based on cloud applications. Second is that you've got to have a game-changing approach to collaboration and governance, right? You've really got to see different ways of being able to monitor APIs and see what data is being exchanged by which parts of the organization, and really control and throttle that access and collaborate with organizations through things like self-service tools like data hubs and portals that allow for things like pub sub of different applications to MDM functionality, for instance. And then last is the resilience and agility that needs to be built in. Intelligent and a good example of this, although there are many, are intelligent business and data APIs. So functionality that allows for you to call an entire order record rather than the discrete components of that order record, or an entire business process like fulfillment, instead of just calling the discrete data components associated with that. So really building in agility and creating the kind of models that are necessary to succeed. I'm running out of time, and so I'm going to skip over this because I'll cover it in just a second. But suffice it to say that we have all of the functionality that's necessary to really develop that no-code, no-build application and data integration. Everything from workflow and user automation that allow for steps in human workflow, for instance, broad connectivity that include things like hundreds of connectors and very easy, simple wizards to spin up new connectors as need be, that take very little time or effort. Intelligent automation and governance. So, the capacity to have end-to-end API lineage, API process and data discovery. These discovery first interoperability portals are really very essential to modern API management, where you can literally search for and find the right APIs that you need, and provide that entire lifecycle management of access and control. And then lastly are these event-driven business and data API, right? Everything is really dependent on this AI-driven automation and our cloud-native functionality. So I realize I'm running out of time here. Radical simplicity, productivity for all users, and elastic scale, all built on our AI platform. Really provides the kind of scale that you need, the productivity for all end users, all personas, and lastly, that radical simplicity that enables users to become productive members of the kit. A quick slide on the foundations of the product. So obviously has that global containerized hybrid infrastructure that you need to power both applications that are on premises as well as applications that are in the cloud, cloud to ground, ground to ground, cloud to cloud, any combination therein. All of the capabilities that you need for bulk data insertion. So, real specialized controls and specialized methods for getting in huge amounts of data. Data delivery and business events and data APIs, as well as I've talked about previously with business APIs, all undergirded by an app and API ops infrastructure that really allow for the kind of management and governance that's necessary in today's world. It's all built on this no code, no build, self-service UX and tools, and these interoperability portals that allow for internal consumers, external consumers, data providers, and the ICOE, ISET organizations to participate as full members of the API generation process, of the API management process, of the integration of these applications and business processes. And again, we provide a comprehensive cloud data management functionality, so you could easily invest in any or many of these functionalities, or you can have a single platform that spans the totality of the functionality that's provided by any of these vendors. A bunch of these competitors are filled with hype, giant marketing budgets. There are a lot of show horses in this market, but there's really only one workhorse, and a workhorse that your customers have been relying on day in and day out for decades. Our renewal rate, which is in the high 90s, proves that, and we provide that functionality across the board. So with that, I see that we're at the bottom of the hour, and I wanted to highlight just one more slide, and that is the gravitas that we bring. Informatica is obviously head and shoulders above all of our competitors in every major magic quadrant that's applicable to our space here in application modernization. And getting this kind of incredible support from the analyst community, this recognition is not easy. And obviously, it shows the breadth and depth of our offering and the support that we provide for our customers, and the claims that we make are real, and that our clients and vendors and our partners can validate on a regular basis. So with that, I'm gonna close the conversation. We're seeing very rapid increase in scale and adoption, and I want to thank you again for your time. And feel free to ask any questions, and we will answer them in due time. Thank you.